Hello, it's great to be here. Today we are talking about how to get what you really want in life. How to get what you really want. Here's the truth. If we don't have a very clear picture of what it is we want, we're never going to achieve it. If we don't have a really clear picture of what we want, quite often we end up focusing on the wrong things, meaning we focus on all the things that are going on in our lives that we don't want, that we don't like, that we're not happy with. But because that's what's occupying our mind, nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to change. So I call this training that we're doing the 4 C's to summit, the 4 base camps that you need to reach the summit. So one of my coaching programs is called Summit Seekers. Summit Seekers is really understanding everything you need to be able to start a business from scratch, knowing nothing, to be able to build it up to a six-figure business, right? Six-figure plus business. There is so much to learn. Trust me, I didn't know this when I was beginning. And part of what was holding me back and what I've seen hold my clients back the most is not really having a very clear understanding of what you want, meaning not having clear goals. So, we are actually going to cover the SMART goals formula today as far as how to set your goals up. We're actually backing up beyond that. We're going to the deeper foundation of where your mind needs to be able to to be able to reach any goal you want. Okay? So picture this. Let's talk about it this way. I like to say that we are on the great expedition of life. You are on the great expedition of life. That's what we want. We just keep going through life and we're always on an adventure. We get to choose the adventure. We get to choose what is at the top, what's at the summit that you want to reach. That's what you can design yourself. And that's what we're going to walk through today. How you design what is at the summit for you, right? Why do you want it? Where do you want to go? All of those things. But let's say that we are hikers and we are on a big expedition. I lived in Colorado for several years, grew up in the Northwest, and hiking and backpacking is part of what I did, right? Now I would never be able to do that. I'm not in any kind of shape, but back then I was. Back then I was. So when we get ready to go on a big expedition, we need to have all the right gear in our backpack. What we carry with us in our backpack is more important than anything else in the expedition, right? Because even though you could be physically fit and have all those things going, if you don't have the right gear in your backpack, you're not going to make it on a 3 or 4 day trip up a mountain. Think about, the Mount Everest climbers. They hit a base camp, they have to acclimate, they do a few things, they move to the next base camp, and they just consistently work their way up. That's the image, that's the idea that I want you to carry with you today. We are helping you today. This training is going to help you make sure that you have everything you need in your backpack ready to go before you go up the hill, right? Before you start your expedition. So let's talk about that. Back in the day, like I said, when I was in college, um, we went on a trip. We had a friend with us, and this particular friend had never gone on a more than a 1 day backpacking trip, right? So they really weren't prepared as much as they needed to be prepared. And even though we were saying, hey, yeah, you can't the normal stuff that you can get away with on a day hike, you can't get away with on this kind of hike, right? It's hot. You got to have the right gear when it's hot. Plus, it gets really cold at night. And there's all kinds of techie gear that you need. You can't just take off in your tennies and cotton socks, right? So, this particular friend just thought that they knew what they needed to know, right? And kind of they were not prepared for the trip. And we almost didn't actually make it on the trip all the way to the planned quote summit because of that friend not being prepared. That's what I want you to be able to do. I want you to be prepared. So let's dig in. Here's an outline of what we're going to do. We're going to talk about the four base camps, the 4 C's to summit is what I call them. And at the end, actually, I have this whole training that you can listen to on any kind of an audio. And it also has a trail guide, meaning it has a workbook that you can actually work through this on your own. So if you would like that, I will tell you how you can have that as a gift at the end. So if you stay to the end, you'll get the information on how you can snag your very own audio and trail guide download. Okay, so if you are ready to get what you want, what do you want? There are 4 base camps. There are 4 C's. The first thing, we're going to dig deep into these, but I'm just going to overview them for you. The first thing you need is you need to choose. You need to have a very, very clear choice of what it is you want out of life. You have to be specific, meaning step 2, we have to clarify. We have to clarify. We can't generally just have yeah, I want to have enough money to travel. We want to move beyond that. We need to clarify that. We need to be very specific before we move to base camp 3. Clarify, have the vision. We need to be able to visualize what we want. That's base camp 2. Base camp 3 is we are going to commit, right? We are going to commit, which means if you decide that this is what you want, you're going to make the plan. You're going to engineer and design the plan that you know so far. That doesn't mean you have to know every single step. There's no way we can know every single step along the way, but we can at least begin the journey, right? We can create a trail map of where we need to go. Do we know everything that's going to happen and occur along the trail? No, but we know what we need to do to get there. We know where we need to go. That's what we're going to do, right? The 4th base camp, of course, is we are going to commit. I mean, we're going to create it, which means commits 3rd, which means we're going to create it. Which we're going to start taking action. We can't just stay up here in our head. We're going to start taking action. Now, here's the thing. Are we going to do it all right? The first time you've ever gone on a backpacking trip or hiking, or let's even take it outside of that context. The first time you wanted to learn how to play the piano or play tennis or anything else that you've ever wanted to do, did you get it right the first time? No, but you still had to take action. And sometimes you had to take the same action over and over again before you got it right. That's okay. That is part of how we reach our goals. How we reach our goals, right? One of the comparisons I always think about, let's look at some of these top athletes. Michael Phelps, Michael Jordan, got the Michaels on the brain right now. All of these athletes who are elite athletes, did they get there by just going, yeah, I would love to win an Olympic gold medal? And then they envisioned themselves doing it, but they never went and got in the pool and did anything. No, they would have never gotten there. So let's walk through what we need to do that. That's how we're going to do it. I want you to have whatever it is you want in your life. Wherever it is you want to go, I want to help you make that happen. So sometimes we can get stuck because we really don't know what we want. Have you ever had that happen to you where somebody asks you, this happened to me the first time in therapy after my divorce. And I'm sitting in my therapist's office. She's just like, Shauna, what do you want? Let's figure out how to get you where you want to go. What do you want? And I was so stuck in, I'm going to say, the trauma of everything that went through the divorce, right? I couldn't think of what I wanted. Is that where you're at? If that's where you're at, that's okay. Because the more you put your brain, right, the more you focus your energy and ask that question, what do I want? What do I really want? Those answers are going to start coming to you. Those answers are going to start showing up. So have patience and grace with yourself. If that's where you're at in this journey, that's okay. If you already have an idea of what you want, but you don't have the clarity around it, we're going to help you accomplish that too. So let's say that you are ready to do something, but it scares the bejeebies out of you, right? It scares the bejeebies out of you. You go one way or the other. Here are the two paths that we often choose if we are functioning out of fear. One is we just flat avoid it. We don't even try because we're too afraid of failing or too afraid of not knowing what's down the trail, up the trail, right? We just don't do anything at all. And then the other option is where we go out there and we just go full blast. We do everything. We try to control everything. We try to choose every option. We are, like our hair's on fire, but not in a really, we're not functioning in a really organized, controlled manner. It's kind of like a panic mode, like a knee-jerk reaction that we're just like, oh my gosh, I got to do it, right? And you're feeling all that pressure. And the pressure does not motivate you in a good way. It actually makes you feel kind of yucky. That's what we want to avoid. And this process is going to help to do that, right? If you don't know where to start, or you keep juggling, you're trying to hold all the plates in the air because you're trying to do everything yourself, this is going to help eliminate that and help you get through that. So this is actually, I'm going to try to abbreviate this, you guys. This training, I haven't done this training in a long time, and it's actually like a 40-page training. So I'm going to try to consolidate it down so that we get what we need out of here very quickly. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Oh, this is another training I'll help you guys walk through, but let's start a new board, I guess. Let's start a new board. I don't know. I should have done this before, you guys. Nope. I just want a blank board. Okay. Here's the first thing we need, guys. The first thing we need, our first base camp. Wow, that's ginormous, isn't it? Our first base camp is we need to choose. We need to choose what we want. Number one, we are not going to be able to get anywhere if we don't choose. And I mean choose. Think of the biggest dream you want. I don't want you to stay small here. I want you to think big. I want you to go to one of your heart's deepest desires, right? This isn't about going small. This is about stretching your heart, like going to where your heart is calling you. What is your heart calling you? Is your heart calling you to start that business that you've always wanted to start? Is your heart calling you to finally make the move to work for yourself? You've always worked for someone else. It hasn't been really what you've wanted to do your whole life, but you've been plugging in the time, doing the 9 to 5, and you're tired of not being in control of your time, and you're ready to finally have the life you want where you're in control of your time. You're in control of what you want to do, when you want to do it, when you want to work, when you don't want to work. If that's the dream, I want you to choose it. You have to make the decision. You have to make the decision that you are going to accomplish this goal. Let's visit the goal statistics for really quick. People who did not choose their goals and they just let life happen to them. Did you know that they are 80% more likely to suffer from depression, to experience really severe, kind of crippling anxiety, where you're paralyzed and you're really not in control of your life? If you don't sit down and do these things and you just let life keep taking you on its flow, right? Its ebb and flow and all the things that happen. If you're not consciously focusing on what you want, you're just not going to be a happy person. You're going to feel like a victim. We don't want to live that way. That is not what we were meant to be as humans. We have the natural born instinct and drive to create. We are here to create the life we want. We are here to create the experiences we want. We are here to create whatever it is we want. That's why, one of my books is about tapping into that creativity. It's called Be a Creative Badass. If you would like to talk about that, if you want to know more about how you can grab a copy of that, I'll be happy to give you that link. It is available on Amazon. But that book is all about the power of creativity. And the first step in creating what you want is choosing, being very specific and choosing what you want, not letting life just take you away, right? So, right here, what do you really want? What do you really want? And, the first time, like I said, I was asked this, I realized suddenly that I had no idea. This is, you're not alone, is what I'm saying. I wasn't the only one who experienced that either. It's very common to not have a really, really clear, deep understanding of what it is we want. It's more common for our brains. Our brains are wired to know what we want, to know what we don't want. Our brains are wired to help keep us secure and safe. The way our brain keeps us secure and safe is to constantly be aware of what it is we don't want and what it is we want to avoid. Well, that's great if we just want to function on defense, but our brain isn't naturally wired, right? Our amygdala is not naturally wired to operate on offense. It just likes to function on defense. So if we're not in control, if we don't take control of that, I call it the moose, the otter, and the snake. The snake is that part of our brains that's always on guard, always afraid of everything, afraid of what if. What if this happens? Or what if I do this and this happens? What if I do this and they say this? What if I do this and I fail? That is our snake, right? Our mind is a forest. This is I have a slide presentation on this. Maybe I'll bring that up one of these times. Think of your mind as a forest. You have three creatures in the forest, our snake that we just talked about. Then we have our otters. And our otters, wow, our otters are all about having the life we want. Wow, that's an Amber Alert. Woo. They are all about fun. They are all about opportunity. They say all the exciting things. This is where your heart is calling you, right? The otter's like, oh my gosh, check this out. We could do this. We could do that. Let's do this. They're so excited about all the things, all the possibilities, right? And we have our snake that's constantly saying, no, we can't do that. Oh my gosh, what if we, no, that's a stupid idea. No, that's too risky, right? The otters are like, no, 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 we can do this. But here's the biggest creature in your forest. It is the moose. The moose is your subconscious, right? The otters represent all your frontal lobe and all that good stuff that gets you going. The snake is your amygdala. It's that old part of your brain that's there to protect itself. And your moose is your subconscious. Your subconscious actually runs the show. Did you know that we everything we function on is 95% on autopilot? Really, they say closer to 98% of what we do, what we think, everything that goes on in our lives is on autopilot. It's our subconscious, it is our moose that runs the show. Here's the thing about the moose is not a good guy or a bad guy. The moose just does what he knows. He just does what he knows. He's like, I know, if I take this trail, it's going to take me to this mossy bog over here. I know if I take this trail, I know it does what it knows because technically the moose is pretty lazy. He doesn't really want to work that hard to get what he wants or where he wants to go. That's how our subconscious is functioning. Okay. So here's your moose, and your otters are like, no, hey, Mr. Moose, there is a bigger, better lake over here. You've never seen it. I know you don't know the way. We we don't really know how we're gonna get you there. Most of the time the otters do know, they know instinctively, but they don't know how to share that or express that. But they're like, no matter, they just keep calling. They're already at the lake, right? They're already at the lake, and they're like, yeah, yeah, you want to come over here? Hey, Mr. Moose, come over here. And Mr. Moose is like, if I do that, I have to blaze a new trail. Oh my gosh, that's going to take a lot of time and energy. Yeah, I'll just stay over here. You have to get your moose to blaze a new trail. You have to get your subconscious to start thinking what you really want, to start focusing on what you want. You have to get your moose to start listening to the otters, not listening to the snake. That's what we're doing here. That is what we are creating. And choosing is the first step. Letting your otters go to where they want to go is the first step, right? So let's listen to our otters. Okay? We're just gonna we're gonna call it that. Okay, let's go down here. The next thing we want to do, whoops, is this not gonna let me? Okay, the next thing we want to do is we need to clarify. Now, here's the part where this is easy to get lost. What do I mean by clarify? Well, if we want to clarify what we want, whoops, no, we don't want that. We have to be able to visualize every detail. This is where we really tap into our otters. We have to visualize every detail of what's waiting at the summit for us. What's your goal? Because that's what's at the summit. We need to sit down and we need to clarify. Clarify, meaning we need to be able to visualize all the details. More importantly, we need to be able to emotionally connect with what we will feel like when we've reached the summit. Okay, let's talk about that. Have you ever had that experience where you can visualize something so vividly you can feel it? That's what we need to connect with. That is the first step of starting to manifest what it is what we want. Because when we start imagining that and we can feel that, we are actually putting that energy, that vibration, that frequency out there to the universe. And the universe, I know if you haven't ever talked about this, I call the universe whatever it is you want to call it. There is science behind this, right? Quantum physics. You can call it God. You can call it, whatever the greater being out there that has the greater power beyond us starts responding, starts aligning all those things that are going to get you to that goal. Have you ever had something you're like, I don't know, it just magically all of a sudden just came out of the blue? Guess what? It didn't come out of the blue. You have been priming that to happen, whatever that goal is, whatever that goal is, because it had been on your mind, it was in your subconscious. And manifestation works that way. There's manifestation is scientific. It's not like this magical, you know, unicorn that's out there in the ether. But that's for another time. So I want you to really clarify what it is you want. And this is something that you may not be in practice with, is to be able to visualize. But I want you to, instead of thinking the negatives, meaning instead of thinking, well, I don't want to work a 9 to 5 job, I want you to flip that and write that goal in the positive form. And then I want you to feel that. I want to be able to work 3 to 4 hours a day whenever I want and be able to take my work with me wherever I want. Do you see the difference in how that emotionally, the vibration that you experience when you clarify what you want in the positive, not the negative? But if you can only think of the negative, write those all down, and then we're going to switch those to the positive. If you want the trail guide that goes with this training, that actually is included. You have a place to do just that in the trail guide. So once again, if that's something you're interested in, all you have to type in is trail guide in the comments, and I will reach out to you and make sure that you have access to that. Okay. I will give you the information on how you can connect with that. So I want you to think of what those are. So right now, get a piece of paper, write this down, clarify. I want to make the list of all the things in detail that I want. I want you to start visualizing it. And whatever you visualize, I want you to write it down. Okay. This is actually number 2. Why is it giving me? It's changing the number for me, you guys. Okay, we're going to do that. I don't like that. Okay, let's do number 3. See if it'll, nope. Well, that's annoying. Okay, well, then we're gonna do, we're gonna do number 3 here. Apparently I can't put a space, or it's gonna, so here's the next step. Here's our next base camp. We're gonna commit, right? We're gonna commit to making this goal happen. And I want you to start writing out what steps you know you'll need to take to get there. It's basically mapping out your trail. Your trail is not going to be complete. It is not going to have every bump, rock, dip, hill, right? Right now, we are just outlining the steps that we need to get there as best we can with the knowledge that we have. Okay? We can clarify all of this later. It's not going to be complete. That is okay. We will clarify this and get clearer on this as we go. I like to reverse engineer the steps. So start from where you want, right? Start from the summit and create a checklist working backwards. Okay, let's talk about what that means actually. So if our goal is to be able to buy the lake house, we've always wanted a lake house. What do we need in order to have that lake house? We've already had the clarity. We know where we want the lake house. We know how big we want the lake house. So we know how much money we need for the lake house, right? So we're starting to reverse engineer it. Okay, we know how many dollars we need. Okay, let's go the next step back. How are we going to make that income that's going to get us to the lake house? Now, keep in mind, we're not going to know every detail. What are your options? Let's start brainstorming. Well, you know that the job that you currently have, you can only make this much, right? You're at the threshold. So if you want to have extra to be able to get to the lake house, you know you're the gap is this far. You can brainstorm and you're like, okay, I can start another business. I can start some kind of a side gig that's going to help me earn that extra income. And then you can start brainstorming what those side gigs are, right? Maybe you're a musician. Maybe you can be a piano player at a piano bar. Maybe you are like me. I honestly was not an artist at the time, but I was like, okay, I'm going to create art and I'm going to sell art. These are all things that you have to build the business yourself. Now, keep in mind that that's a longer route to get to the extra money. One of the best ways, one of the quickest ways, I'm just going to give you one right now, is to invest in an already pre-built online business. This is an online digital business. You don't have to have inventory. You don't have to create the product. You don't, it's better than, but you've probably heard of affiliate sales. I did affiliate sales for quite a while, right? Affiliate sales, you only make a small percentage of what the actual product costs. So if you're offering or selling $1,000 product for someone and your commission is 20%, you get $200 every time you make that sale. There are businesses out there. One of the businesses that I love that I actually offer this because you can purchase it, you can invest in it, and you can resell it for 100% profit. And it's a great product. It's a great product. Instead of having to build out your own course, which is what I did, I built out my whole online course, my whole program, tons of lead magnets, had to build the sales funnels, had to build the websites, had to build, build the email connections and workflows. And I mean, if you've never done this before, your brain's probably already exploding. And I'm telling you, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. I'm not going to say it was a mistake, but you don't have to go through that process if you want a quick way to generate some revenue and build the nest egg and boost your income. There are other ways to do it besides reinventing the wheel yourself, right? You don't have to do an MLM or a network marketing type product where that system, it's kind of like the pyramid where you invest and then you have to, get a team under you and then that team needs to sell and get that team. It doesn't work like that at all. It's one sale, right? There's no team associated with it. I've done that. I did not like that. Didn't like the way it felt. Felt really yucky, really high pressure. I just didn't like that. And the person who sold to me was making money off me every time. That's part of what didn't feel good, right? Every time I was selling something, they were making part of that profit. And that chain just kept going. I didn't like that. And then I also did also did you know, I did skincare, which was that kind of a network marketing. I also did the home party stuff where it's not about trying to get people to sell under you, you're just selling the products directly. Once again, it's a small percentage, right? If you're doing I'll just name a few: Pampered Chef, right? Pampered Chef, I did that for a while. I did Mary Kay, I did Longer Burger. That was actually probably my favorite one. But here's the problem with those: you have to do those home parties. So and now people can do them virtually, which is awesome that you can do virtually. You can even sell like the nail press on nails. There's all kinds of products that are like that that you can get out there and offer. But the best way to sell was to actually let people get hands on with the product, which took a lot of time. Plus, you had to have the inventory. Oh my gosh, the inventory. That was the big hassle with my art, having the inventory. There are other options out there. I want you to commit to making a plan as to how you can get to your goal. And if you are not sure what the options are for you to earn that extra income, please talk to me. That's that's a complimentary call. That's not something you have to pay for. If you want to explore some options, you're thinking about starting a business and you have some thoughts or you have some questions, please reach out to me. I would love to talk to you. And we can work that out and come up with a plan that works for you. If this is the step you're stuck on, let's get you past this step so that you can actually start moving towards that goal. Okay? Start from the side, create a checklist um, of what needs to happen before you reach the summit by working backwards from the end to the beginning. Okay. Let's just copy this. Let's see if I can duplicate this whole thing. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Okay, so let's go to number 4. At this point, right, this is where we start creating. This is where we start creating. This is where you start taking action. So when we're going to start taking action, you can see that this is not perfect, right? That map, that the steps that you've written out, you're like, "Ooh, I don't really, some of this stuff I don't know how to do." Oh my gosh, you are not alone. That is completely normal, but we can't let our snake keep us frozen because of the stuff that we don't know how to do. We have to start moving beyond that, right? So you've got everything you want at the base camp. You're going to revisit that vision. That vision, this clarification right here, this visualizing, this is so important because this is what keeps you motivated. Keeps you motivated, and it keeps you connected to why you want to do this, why you want uh, that summit. Because when you're starting to take action down here in these steps, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, Shauna, this is not easy. And we all get there. It happens to all of us. Have I not been sharing my screen this whole time, you guys? Oh my word. I have not been sharing my screen. Let's go here. Now you'll get to see what it is I've been working on over here. Crazy. So sorry for that. We're 40 minutes in, you guys. I'm so sorry. That's the kind of stuff. Feel free to let me know. Feel free to let me know. If you're just joining us, I'm Shauna St. James. I help basically empty nesters, particularly women who are wanting to reach a goal. Maybe they have some things that have happened in their past that they need to financially recover from, right? Whether you're experiencing debt or you're just looking at your retirement funds and you're like, holy moly, this is not going to work. I always joke that that I could be living on a mattress in my kids' garages, right? I mean, well, I joke like that, but really it's a fear, right? Because I haven't gotten everything in place that I need to get in place to get to where I want to go. And this is how you're going to be able to not sleep on the mattress in your kid's garage. I mean, I'm saying that jokingly, but you get the point. You get the point. We've all been there where we look at something and we kind of panic. This training is going to help you get beyond that so you are not stuck in that situation. We've been talking about you first have to choose. We talk about how you can clarify, you commit, and we are at the fourth step where we are taking action. This is the fourth base camp before we make it to the summit. Now, here's the special thing about the summit. The closer you get to the summit, the slower you are going. It feels like you're moving in slow motion, and a lot of times, reality, you are. It's so much steeper the closer you get to the summit. If you've been on any kind of a hike like that, you know. And truthfully, you're gaining elevation. It's harder to breathe, right? You're really short of breath. And you just feel like, every step you take is taking as much energy and focus as you can get. Now, keep in mind, I've never done anything like Mount Everest or anything like that. I've only done, a 14er in Colorado, but that was super hard. You start getting above the timberline, everything starts clearing out, and you're like, wow, that summit looks really far. That's what happens when we start taking action, when we are at the fourth base camp. This is the hardest part because this is where we put everything in our backpacks, right? We collect all our gear and we have to start hauling it up the mountain, actually taking the steps forward, right? Now, a lot of times, this is where we can run into what I call some trail blockers. Once we start finally taking action, that's when we start disrupting, right? We're actually disrupting the energy in the universe. This is when we start running into trail blockers. Trail blockers are those obstacles that get in our way. We all have them. Every single person is going to experience a trail blocker. That is just part of what happens. So what do we do when that happens? Do we quit? Do we quit? No, we do not quit. I'm gonna go through my notes here. Like I said, this is a training. For those of you who are just joined, this is a training that you can actually get on audio. It's a much better audio training that walks you through all the steps. Plus, you have a trail guide with you where you can stop the recording and actually do the work in the workbook, the trail guide. Okay. So here's what happens. A lot of times when you're at this step, this is where you definitely cannot go without a guide. If you go without a guide, you're probably not going to make it. What do I mean by that? In the context of business, this is where you hire someone to help you. You know, guides don't help you climb the mountain for free, right? They're going to help you because they know the way. They've done it before. They are experts. They can get you there faster. You're not going to get lost on the trail once you start hiking the trail because you have someone that's like, oh, no, 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 you got to do this. You got to go this way. Oh, don't step on that. If you step there, that actually is a really slippery slide and you're going to lose all the traction that we've gotten and we're going to have to start back over. Those are the kinds of things that they can keep you uh, keep you help you avoid. I did try to do this. I tried to avoid that stuff. That's why it took me so long, right? And I know a lot of clients who say the same thing. Oh my gosh, I wish I had done this so much sooner. I just really thought that I could figure it out myself, and I didn't think that I would have to invest in having someone, right, spending the money to have someone help me get to where I want to go. But I'll tell you what, if you are have a business now and you're stuck, having some objective expert sit down and go, oh my gosh, here's where you're stuck. This is all we have to do to fix it. Do you know how much relief that brings you? Or if you're a very beginner person and you're like, I want to start an online business and all of this stuff is absolutely looks like gibberish to me, having someone help you is the shortcut. It is the shortcut to the summit versus you wandering around the trail on your own, which is what I did, right? I tried to piecemeal everything together, tried to find all the, free stuff that's out there. Oh, I need this step. Okay. Then I'd go look around. I wasted so much time trying to figure it out myself. Oh, I deeply regret that. I don't want you to have that same. I'm going to say get assistance to keep you on the trail. It's the shortcut. It's the shortcut. You don't have to do it alone, okay? Doing a solo hike, if you've ever gone on any kinds of those expeditions, guess what? Not smart, not recommended, not safe, not safe. If we take this back into the concept of hiking, right? If you are watching this live, thank you for being here. I'd love for you to tell me where you are watching from. And if you're watching in replay, comment hashtag replay or replay so that I know that you were able to see this content. Ask any questions you have in the comments. Please feel free to ask questions in the comments. Even if I can't answer it live here, I will go back and answer it later. Okay. I definitely look on my old videos to see if there were any questions. Okay, so we hit some obstacles, right? Even if we have help, we hit obstacles. Maybe there's a health crisis that happens, or maybe, at this point, our parents, right? At the age that we're at now, our parents may be experiencing some health crises. Or, maybe our kids are having babies, whatever the thing is, right? Maybe you get laid off from work, you're about ready to retire, and they're like, oh, here's early retirement. See ya. There are all kinds of things that can really disrupt our trail to the summit, our expedition. And when you have a community and you have the support, it's going to help you keep going. It's really easy to give up at this point when it starts getting really hard. I don't want that to happen to you. Don't want that to happen to you. Okay. So this is also what I call the terror barrier, right? If you are a Bob Proctor thinking into results student, you have heard this phrase before. All of these things start coming up. The snake is like, nope, nope, nope. See, look, we can't do this. We can't do this. Look, if we did that, and look at the bad thing that happened. Snake's trying to hold us back because that's the way our brain is wired to work. Our brain is wired to just stay in place. What does a snake do? A snake doesn't like to move. It likes to stay in place, hide in camouflage, and wait for something to come for it to strike, right? It wants to use the least amount of energy possible. The moose is the same way. The moose is like, yeah, no, it's so much easier to just take the trail that I've already blazed. This trail's well-worn path, super easy traveling. Those are the habits that control our lives. Well, whether they're good for us or not, they're just neural pathways that automatically fire every time something specific happens or when nothing's happening. Because it's just like how our brain's like, oh, yeah, I get up, I make my coffee. Oh, yeah, get on the road, I drive to work, all of those things. To get our moose to take a new trail, to choose a summit that's different from the lake and bog that he's always gone to, it takes a lot of effort and energy. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This is the part that you have to have that dedication, that commitment to keep going, or you're just going to give up, right? So I want to take a moment to say, hey, this is where you can control your destiny. This is where you can go up against the resistance. You can start reprogramming your neural pathways, your mind, to get you where you want to go. If this is something you don't know how to do by yourself, it's okay. I spent years learning this system. I help my clients do this. This is what we do. We help you rewire and reprogram your brain so it's focusing on what you want, so it knows how to deal with the trail blockers and obstacles and all the resistance that that snake is constantly putting out there. Helps you reprogram, refocus so that you can reach those goals. People, so here's another one. We function on 95% autopilot. Did you know that 95% of people who have an accountability partner, which I'm going to say your accountability partner cannot always be your life partner. It doesn't always work very well because it feels like that person's nagging on you. It's better to have someone objective and outside to be that accountability partner. You are 95% more likely to reach your goal, to reach your summit, if you have an accountability partner who's your trail guide, who's helping keeping you along the path, who's helping you readjust, right? You take a couple wrong steps and your trail guide's like, oh, oh nope, I've got you. They pull you up. They've got their hand, they immediately reach their hand out. They're like, yep, yep, right here. Do you need help carrying some of your gear? Right? That's what your trail guide does. That's how you get to where you want to go. I cannot emphasize that enough. You don't need to be discouraged when you get to the hard part, because there are actions you can take and people and resources that can help you get there. This is where, if you're building a business, I like to talk in the context of business because that's what we're doing here, right? If you're building a business, this is where you make sure that you have an expert who can help you build the strategies, who can help make sure that you have the right systems and the automations and the tools that are going to help you get the results you want without just fumbling around for years like I did. Without I was spending money, not making money, right? Okay, let's wrap this up here. I gotta head to another training here pretty quick. I also want to talk about a couple of other hazards and trail blockers, right? And I kind of mentioned these, but a paradigm rock slide is a trail blocker where all those old habits start kicking in, right? That snake is like, oh my gosh, nope, 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 nope. Put on the brakes. The moose is listening to the snake. Yeah, nope. I'm not taking any more steps forward. This is where reprogramming your mind to get you past that is going to help you do that. And here's what you do. You go back to that clarification. You go back to that why you want it. You go back to that emotion that is going to make it worth all the effort that you're putting in to help you get there. The paradigm rock slide is something I really help you dig deep into what those can be in the audio training with the guidebook. So like I said, if that's something you want, I want you to type trail guide in here and I can make sure that you get that. Let's see, what else do I want to talk about? A life weather hazard, right? This is another trail blocker that we kind of touched on. What if something happens that's major? I've had a client who was diagnosed with cancer. That's a big sidetrack, right? That is not an easy thing to get through. Now, here's what I will say. I was so proud of her because she didn't let that actually take her off track. Instead, she helped keep her summit by keeping her summit on track and focusing on where she wanted to go. She actually helped take the energy off all the negative stuff that was happening with her cancer and actually helped her heal by refocusing all that energy. It was positive energy that she was focused on, and that actually helped her heal. It didn't get her off track. There are life weather hazards that we deal with that we can choose two paths, right? The path that leads back down the hill or the path that keeps us on track. Now, are we moving as fast? No, we're not moving as fast, but we're still moving forward. Still moving forward. All right. And that can happen with anything, right? That could be your kids all of a sudden, Gigi, stop. Your kids all of a sudden have something happen, and it could be minor distractions too. It could be, you planned on going live, and then all of a sudden you have a kid that's like, "Hey, mom, can you take me to, the bowling alley?" And you're like, no, I really, I have a training that I need to do, or I need to go live, or I need, I set aside this time." And you have to juggle all of this real life stuff that happens. It doesn't just disappear, right? It doesn't just disappear. That is okay. All right. If you are experiencing expedition exhaustion, let's say you've already done this. You've already gone, you know where you want to go, but the trail you've taken has not led you there. It is not the right trail, right? Maybe that's, like we said, the network marketing, the MLM, the trying to build your business from the bottom up all by yourself. Whatever those are, that is okay. But if you're suffering expedition exhaustion, I want you to reach out. Reach out. This is this is where love I love seeing you succeed. There's nothing better to me than watching someone else get themselves back on track, right? Than helping someone else. That's what I love to do. That's going to help you get there. And sometimes it's a simple correction. It doesn't always have to be a major thing to be able to do that. If that's what you're looking for, I'm going to stop sharing. If that's what you're looking for, let me know. Reach out. I would love to help you. All right, I'm going to be signing off here really quick. So let's cover a few things before I go. Number one, if you would like the audio training that is much better than this, the four, it's called the 4 base camps to summit. If you would like the audio download with the trail guide so you can actually walk through this process, gives you a trail guide to work through each step of this training, let me know. Trail guide. All you need is trail guide in there, or summit, or just comment, "Hey, Shauna, I'm interested in the audio." However you want to do that. If you are interested in having a pre-built 6-figure business, you know that you want to grow your income, you know that your current path, or whatever path you're on, is not going to get you there, and you need a new option, a new opportunity, I can give you a 6-figure business blueprint that you can look at, follow, and then if you want to know more about how you can actually own that 6-figure blueprint and that becomes your business, where that's what you offer people, and it's completely pre-built for you. No monthly costs, right? You're not paying every month to maintain a website. You're not paying anyone for a subscription, anything like that. 100% profit. You only have to sell one to get your investment back. One sale. Right now, the conversion rate is every one person out of 20 that you connect with, not just that follow you or hear you stuff that you really connect with, invest in that, will make that purchase. Think of how if you sold three of those packages, where would that put you each month? Those products sell at $900, $300, $600. There's four different price points that someone can invest in. If you were selling three of those a month, how would that change your life? How would that change your summer? If that's something you just want to explore, you just want to know more about, there's no commitment at all. Type in info, and I will reach out to you. All right, I am signing off. Thanks for being here. 4 C's to Summit, the 4 base camps that get you to your goal. Take care.